Have you ever stopped to wonder if some seemingly harmless things might possess a power you can't even imagine? What if I told you that, inside your own home, something you consider common could be opening doors to an influence you would never want? Yes, you heard that right. Padre Pio himself, the Italian mystic who bore the wounds of Christ and fought the devil every night in his cell, issued a shocking warning. Never combine the holy image of Our Lady with these three objects. He warned that doing so not only deeply offends the Virgin, but opens spiritual doors you might not be able to close again. These three objects, which most people have at home without even realizing it, can contaminate your home's spiritual atmosphere, block your prayers, and even invite demonic influence. Are you praying, asking for protection over your children, but still feel like something is wrong? Do you keep a statue or image of the Blessed Mother in your home, but even so, there's unrest, bad dreams, arguments, illnesses, or heavy energy in your house? Have you unknowingly placed sacred objects near things that may be spiritually dangerous? Are your prayers going unanswered and you don't know why? Then listen to me, because this message is not for skeptics. It's not for the lukewarm. This is for those who believe in the spiritual battle between light and darkness and who are ready to defend their homes and families with the weapons of heaven. Because nothing in the spiritual world is coincidence. If you're here right now, it's because the Holy Spirit, or perhaps the Blessed Mother herself, wanted you to hear this. And what I'm about to reveal is one of the most ignored dangers in Catholic homes today. Get ready, because this truth will transform the way you protect your home and your faith. My name is Sophia, and for a long time, my search for a truly peaceful home felt like an endless journey. You know that feeling when, despite all your efforts, something just isn't quite right? I lived that. My faith had always been a guiding light, and the image of Our Lady, inherited from my grandmother, held a special place in my living room, a symbol of protection and unconditional love. I'd light candles, pray the rosary, and felt immense affection for the Virgin Mary, yet inexplicably, a shadow seemed to hang over my house. There were constant arguments, a pervasive gloom that seemed to drain the joy from my children, sleepless nights filled with nightmares that left us exhausted. I felt lost, perhaps even blaming my faith for not being strong enough. I even started to think it was just the stress of daily life, but that persistent sense of something subtly wrong deeply troubled me. It was then, on a particularly difficult afternoon, with a heavy heart and the feeling that my prayers were echoing into emptiness, that I stumbled upon an account of Padre Pio. It wasn't the grand miracles that caught my attention at that moment, but rather a small mention, almost a whisper within his biography, about the importance of how we maintain our sacred spaces. That hit me like a lightning bolt. Could it be that, in my ignorance, I was allowing something to disturb the peace I so desperately sought? That instant sparked a fragile hope within me, the possibility that the answer to quieting my home lay in something I had never considered. And that search, that turning point in my perception, is what I want to share with you today, hoping it brings light to your own journey. Padre Pio, the Capuchin friar from Pietrelcina, lived a life steeped in divine mystery and intense spiritual warfare. His days were a testament to miracles, healings, and profound spiritual guidance. Yet, amidst the well-documented accounts of his stigmata and bilocations, there exists a lesser-known facet of his ministry, his relentless, often agonizing, battles against demonic forces. These were not mere temptations. These were direct, physical assaults by the devil in his very cell. And it was in this context of intense spiritual combat that Padre Pio delivered a warning so critical, yet so often overlooked, about the sanctity of our homes. Consider the story of Maria, a devout Catholic woman from Puglia, a region not far from San Giovanni Rotondo. Maria was a pillar of her community, always at Mass, her rosary never far from her hands. She cherished her faith, and her home was filled with beautiful sacred images, especially a cherished statue of the Blessed Mother, a gift from her own mother. Yet, despite her unwavering devotion, Maria's home had become a place of inexplicable unrest. Her children, usually so joyful, began to suffer from vivid nightmares and unexplained anxieties. Petty arguments erupted constantly between her husband and herself. A pervasive sense of heaviness clung to the air, making peace feel like a distant memory. Maria, desperate, sought spiritual counsel from her local priest, but found no relief. It was then, in a moment of sheer desperation, that she decided to make the pilgrimage to San Giovanni Rotondo, hoping for a chance to confess to Padre Pio. After hours in line, she finally found herself before the holy friar. Padre Pio, known for his ability to read souls, looked at her with piercing eyes, not waiting for her to speak. His voice, though gentle, carried immense authority. "Maria," he began, "you keep a beautiful image of Our Lady in your home, do you not?" Maria nodded, tears welling up. "Yes, Padre, she is my comfort." Padre Pio continued, his gaze unwavering. "But you have placed something beside her that offends her deeply. Something that invites the very darkness you now feel." Maria was stunned. She searched her memory, trying to recall anything that could be amiss. A chill ran down her spine as Padre Pio leaned in, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Unless you remove what grieves her, the peace you seek will remain elusive. The doors you have unwittingly opened will remain ajar, inviting turmoil." Maria left the confessional bewildered, yet resolute. What could she possibly have done? Padre Pio's words echoed in her mind, foretelling a discovery that would change everything she thought she knew about spiritual protection in her own home. What Maria was about to uncover, and what you are about to learn, is a profound truth that exposes a common, yet dangerous, oversight in countless Catholic households today. To truly grasp the gravity of Padre Pio's warning, we must look beyond personal experience and tap into the deeper wellsprings of spiritual wisdom. Throughout history, countless traditions and spiritual masters have recognized a profound truth. Objects are not merely inanimate things. They can be imbued with meaning, intention, and even spiritual energy. This isn't superstition. It's a principle understood by ancient cultures, from the Egyptians who adorned their tombs with specific symbols for protection, to indigenous peoples who used totems and rituals to invoke blessings or ward off evil. Even in the Catholic Church, we bless objects, crosses, rosaries, holy water, precisely because we believe they can become conduits of grace, infused with divine power. Padre Pio, as a spiritual giant, had an unparalleled understanding of this reality. He wasn't just a mystic, he was a spiritual warrior who constantly battled unseen forces. His counsel on what to keep in our homes, especially near sacred images, wasn't based on folklore but on his direct, often painful, experiences with the spiritual realm. Those closest to him, his spiritual sons and daughters, recount how he would often detect incongruities in people's homes just by hearing their confessions. It was as if he could see the spiritual vibrations emanating from objects. He would often warn that while we embrace the sacred, we must also be vigilant against what can subtly introduce disharmony. Imagine, for a moment, a conversation recounted by one of his closest spiritual daughters, Gemma. She approached Padre Pio, perplexed by a persistent feeling of oppression in her devout home. She confessed diligently, prayed fervently, but a heavy cloud lingered. Padre Pio, with his penetrating gaze, simply asked, "Gemma, what do you keep near Our Lady's image in your parlor?" Gemma, thinking nothing of it, mentioned a beautiful, intricately carved mask she'd bought from an exotic market, souvenir from a trip, placed right on the shelf beside her cherished Virgin. Padre Pio paused, then gravely stated, "My child, you have unknowingly invited a spirit into your home that does not belong. The Queen of Heaven will not share her throne with idols, even if disguised as art. The light of her presence recedes where darkness is given a foothold." This wasn't abstract theology, it was direct, insider knowledge from a saint who literally wrestled with demons. He understood that every item has a spiritual footprint, and some of these footprints can become dangerous entry points if placed in the wrong context. So, the question remains, if even seemingly innocuous items can block the flow of grace and invite darkness, what precisely are these three specific objects that Padre Pio warned must never be placed near an image of the Virgin Mary? You might be thinking of something overtly evil, a satanic symbol perhaps. But Padre Pio's revelation is far more unsettling because these objects are disturbingly common. They sit in countless homes, often without a second thought, masquerading as harmless decor, gifts, or even spiritual aids. Recognizing what might be subtly blocking divine grace brings immense psychological relief. It transforms confusion into understanding and helplessness into proactive power. It's a call to spiritual vigilance, not paranoia. When you grasp that the spiritual realm interacts with the physical, you gain a sense of control over your sacred space. You realize that you can influence the spiritual atmosphere of your home, not through magic, but through informed reverence and obedience to divine warnings. This knowledge empowers you to actively cleanse, protect, and invite true blessings. Just as Sophia found a renewed hope in Padre Pio's words, realizing that her prayers weren't unheard but perhaps simply encountering an obstacle, you too can find peace in knowing the path to a harmonious, grace-filled home. It's about restoring the flow of divine protection and transforming your living space into the sanctuary it was always meant to be. Now that you've glimpsed the profound implications of Padre Pio's warning, and perhaps recognized the unsettling possibility within your own home, a deeper truth emerges. The spiritual battle isn't confined to ancient texts or distant monasteries. It's unfolding in our daily lives, in the very spaces we inhabit. The constant presence of these unseen forces, acknowledged and battled by Padre Pio, underscores the critical importance of what we bring into our homes, especially near our most sacred representations of faith. The ultimate mystery remains. What exactly are these three objects that can so grievously offend the Blessed Mother and disrupt the spiritual harmony of your dwelling? Padre Pio didn't just warn against them. He revealed why they are dangerous and, crucially, what we must do instead to truly honor the Virgin, protect our homes, and restore the flow of grace. One of these items, as mentioned, is shockingly common, often placed with good intentions, yet it acts as a silent conduit for spiritual discord. In our next installment, the truth about these objects will be laid bare, and you'll discover not just what to remove, but the powerful actions Padre Pio taught us to take to transform your home into a fortress of divine protection. Are you ready to uncover these crucial revelations and reclaim the sanctity of your home? The full power of this teaching, and the ultimate list of what to avoid and what to embrace, awaits.